And now it's time for development debates. We dig deeper into some of the questions shaping the future and present of China. Today, we'll see two Chinese experts debate if passengers should pay food and accommodation fees during flight delays. Flights in China are very frequently delayed. Beijing is one of the worst in the world for it. Data from global flight tracking website flightstats.com shows that since the beginning of this year to today, the average flight punctuality rate among China's 20 major airports is less than 50%. By comparison, the average rate of 8 airports in Japan is 80%. The punctuality rate is calculated by flights delayed no more than 15 minutes before takeoff or landing. Airports in Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou have the lowest punctuality rate in China. With such bad rates in China, passengers might never learn the reason behind it. Recently, a draft regulation legislated by the Civil Aviation Administration of China made the situation even worse. They won't even pay for the food during delays anymore. As Securities Daily reported, the administration has announced that airline companies will no longer cover food and accommodation for passengers. This is if flights are delayed because of problems not caused by airlines. The liability exemptions include extreme weather, emergency events, and air traffic control. The draft regulation has received many complaints. Many are worried that airlines will make up all kinds of excuses not to pay. Due to the country's non-transparent flight information system, people are worried they may never know the real reason behind the delay, and they think this will infringe upon their rights to protect themselves from airline companies. However, it seems that there are experts that still support the draft regulation. One is the associate professor of the Civil Aviation Flight University of China, Xu Lingjie. Xu told Caixin.com, the draft regulation allows passengers to pay for food and accommodation fees if it's reasonable. Xu said that China's contract law stipulates that transportation providers are exempt from compensating passengers due to causes out of their control. Xu gave an example. In 2010, many European flights were delayed due to volcanic eruptions in Iceland. Passengers were paying for the food and accommodation fees by themselves. Airline companies only provided assistance. Associate Professor Xu understands that people might not understand this clause. Xu said that airline companies can actually only earn small profits. If airline companies have to cover passengers' expenses during delays, there would be a heavy financial burden for them. However, financial commentator Dong Yan from China National Radio doesn't support Xu's idea. Dong wrote on his blog that it's difficult for Chinese passengers to know the real reason behind the flight delays. Due to the opaque information system, airline companies can say that all the delays are not their fault. Dong pointed out there would be no one to punish airline companies if they lie to passengers. Dong said that if the policymaker cannot find ways to solve the issue, then Chinese people will continue to complain about the regulation. Apart from the new draft regulation, Dong also suggested China's airline companies should focus on solving flight punctuality issues instead of finding excuses to elude responsibilities. Dong said that Chinese media reported that airline companies would still take off or land if they had VIP clients. Dong points out that this privilege for the wealthy violates other passengers' rights. Dong said that it's impossible to improve the punctuality rate without abolishing this kind of preferential policy. During the 1990s, China's flight punctuality rate reached 85% or above. However, now it's already dropped under 50%. With advances in technology, this trend just looks strange. The airlines do have updated equipment, but they also have a huge amount of passengers. And they don't care much for the comfort or quality of the flight. So an issue like an airline trying to cut costs by not feeding passengers seems like an unsurprising example of their reputation for bad service.